The shadow comes first. It is a false night that sweeps across the savannah in the middle of the day, cold and absolute. The clan of the red ochre knows the sly. When it touches them, they freeze. The children, grubbing for tubers near the acacia thorns, flatten themselves to the baked earth. The hunters, stalking a lean-flanked antelope, become statues of sun-scorched skin and knotted muscle. Every member of this band of Homo Erectus knows the drill. Do not run. To run is to be seen is to die. They tilt their heads back, eyes squinting against the glare, and watch the thing that owns their sky. It is a god, or the closest thing to one this prehistoric world has to offer. The name they have for it is a guttural rasp, a sound of fear that means sky spear. Two scholars of a future they cannot imagine. It is Quetzalcoatlus. To the clan, it is simply the architect of their terror. Its wings, vast leathery sails, stretch wider than three tall men lying end to end. They do not flap so much as ripple, catching the thermal currents with an obscene grace. Its head is a long, cruel hammer, tipped with a beak that could punch through the hide of a triceratops. When it banks, its shadow scythes across the plains, an omen delivered before the sentence is carried out. Kale watches it from the meager shade of a bowbow, his knuckles white around the smooth, heavy stone of his hand axe. This tool, the pinnacle of their primitive technology, can butcher a kill or crack open marrow bones against the sky spear. It is a child's pebble. He saw it happen 3 suns ago. He sees it still when he closes his eyes. Little Noah, distracted by a glittering beetle, had wandered just 10 paces too far into the open. There was no screech, no warning roar like that of an Allosaurus. There was only a sudden rush of displaced air, a sound like a giant cloak being snapped taut. The sky spear descended, its long neck a living lance. The clap of its beak closing was a flat, wet sound that cut through the afternoon haze. And then it was ascending, a small, ticking shape dangling from its maw, rising until it was just a speck against the unforgiving blue. Noah's mother has not made a sound since. This is the brutal reality of their existence. They are ground dwellers in a world owned by a tyrant of the air. The clan is trapped. The savannah gives them game, roots, and the acacia gum they chew to stave off hunger, but it offers no ceiling. To move towards the forested hills is to invite the attention of the pack-hunting raptors. To follow the river is to risk the great carnivores that stalk the banks. The clan's collective survival skills feel like a cruel joke. They can truck, hunt, make fire, and shape stone, but they cannot teach their children how to fly, or how to disappear into the earth itself. The fear is a constant presence, a sour taste in their mouths. It is the fear of open spaces, the terror of a cloudless sky. It is the primal, ancestral dread of a thing that can pluck you from your life without warning or reason, a force of nature as arbitrary and deadly as a lightning strike. The change begins not with a shout, but with a whisper of stone on stone. For days after Noah is taken, a heavy silence smothers the clan. Grief is a luxury they cannot afford, yet it is a burden they all carry. Kale sits apart, his hand axe a dead weight in his palm. He stares at the empty sky, the vast, silent battlefield where they can never fight. His rage has no target. He cannot throw his axe at the sun. He cannot charge the wind. The core of their hominid history is the struggle against the tooth and claw of this prehistoric world, a lesson in survival learned over 1,000,000 years. But every tool they have perfected, every ounce of their cunning, is designed for the horizontal world. The vertical one, the domain of the sky spear, renders them as helpless as newborns. One afternoon, his frustration boils over. He hurls a fist-sized rock at a distant stone outcrop. It arcs, strikes with a sharp crack, and falls uselessly to the dust. A single, impotent blow. He watches a length of tuffly on a vine, dislodged by the impact, snake down the rock face. Coiling, untangling in a thorny bush, it does not strike. It entangles. An idea, formless and sharp, pierces the fog of his grief. A single point is not enough. Put a line. A net. A trap. That is a different kind of thought. That is a hunter's thought. He takes the idea to Ilara. She is the oldest of the clan. Her face a roadmap of scars and wrinkles. Her hands gnarled but impossibly deaf. While the men shape stone, she shapes sinew and gut. She weaves baskets so tight they can hold water for a short time, and braids cordage strong enough to drag a kill. She is the keeper of the clan's soft technology, the forgotten architect of their daily survival. Kale explains with gestures and guttural sounds. Drawing lines in the dirt with a stick, he mimes a throw, but not a straight one. He makes a whirling motion, his hand spreading wide to show how the lines would fly apart. Ilara listens, her dark eyes blinking. She sees the ghost of Noah in Kale's desperate energy. She understands. For 2 days, they worked. This is the birth of a new form of primitive technology, an invention born of necessity and sorrow. They take the strongest sinews from the hind legs of a doe killed the week before, soaking them in water and then twisting them into 3 long, flexible cords. Cal selects 3 river stones, heavy and smooth, and painstakingly chips a deep groove around the middle of each. Ilara, using a sliver of obsidian, drills a small hole through a piece of bone, creating a crude needle. With this, she binds the sinew into the grooves with a precision that seems impossible for her aged hands. Finally, Kayla fixes a shard of obsidian to each stone, not a killing edge, but a sharp point designed to bite and catch in leathery hide. They are not spears to be thrown. They are claws. They are the Earth's answer to the sky. He names them sky anchors. The first test is a failure. Kale whirls the device over his head and releases it. It flies in a chaotic, tangled mess. The second test is better. The weight separating into a spinning triangle of death that wraps viciously around a termite mound, shattering the baked earth. He learns the rhythm, the precise moment of release. This is intelligence in action. A feedback loop of trial, error, and refinement. He and Ilara have not just created one of the world's most ancient tools. They have conceived of a new way to interact with their world. The foresight comes next, a chilling realization that the weapon is only half the solution. They cannot bring the sky spear down from its cruising height. They must bring it to them. They need bait. And they need a place where its greatest advantage, the open sky, becomes its cage. The canyon is a wound in the earth, a narrow chasm with walls too steep for a panicked climb. For 3 days, the clan works, hauling the fly-blown carcass of a young stegosaurus into its depths. The stench of decay is a thick, tangible thing, a promise of a feast that draws carrion birds from miles away. But they are ignored. The hunters, with Kale at their head, take their positions on the canyon rim, hiding behind a screen of thorny brush. The sky anchors feel an vinglum white in their hands. They are 5 hunters, 5 chances. Below, the bay trots in the oppressive heat, a grotesque invitation. The waiting is a form of torture. Every pulsing cloud, every gust of wind, makes their hearts hammer against their ribs. This is their hard choice, to wager the lives of their best hunters against the terror that has plagued them for generations. Then, the shadow comes. It flows over the canyon rim like a tide of black water, and the world goes silent. The Quetzalcoatlus descends. It is larger than they could have ever imagined from afar. Its landing is clumsy but powerful, the thud of its folded wings hitting the ground like falling trees. On the ground, it is a different kind of monster, stalking on its wing knuckles with an alien gait. Its head, a massive, sharpened spearhead, darts forward, tearing a strip of flesh from the carcass. The sound of ripping sinew echoes off the rock walls. For a moment, the hunters are paralyzed by the sheer scale of the creature. This is not just an animal, it is a living monument to the savagery of prehistoric life. Gor, the oldest of the hunters, sees the hesitation. He knows their window of opportunity is closing. The beast is distracted. Its head down, he meets Kale's eyes across the chasm, gives a single, Sharp nod, and then he rises. He screams hurrah, defiant challenge, and hurls his spear. The flint-tipped weapon bounces harmlessly off the pterosaur's thick hide, a pathetic insult. But it works. The god's head snaps up. Its cold, reptilian eye, as large as Kayla's fist, fixes on Gor. It lets out a screech that is the sound of rock grinding against bone, a noise that scrapes the inside of their skulls. It takes two powerful, loping steps towards Gor's position, unfurling one of its immense wings. Now Kale's voice is a choked rasp. He rises, whirling the sky anchor, for a single, eternal second. The spinning stones are a blur against the sky. He releases. The braided sinew uncoils. A flying snare. The stones separate. A perfect spinning triangle. It crosses the chasm and slams into the beast's outstretched wing with a sickening thwack. The obsidian points bite deep. The sinew wraps, tightens, and holds. The creature shrieks again, a sound of fury and pain, and tries to launch itself into the air. But the stone's weight is an anchor to the earth. It stumbles, its wing twisted at an unnatural angle, and crashes to the canyon floor in a thrashing avalanche of dust and leathery membrane. Instantly, the other hunters cast their own anchors, to more find their mark, tangling the other wing into leg. The guard is grounded. It is crippled, but it is not dead. It is a cornered nightmare, snapping its enormous beak. A living guillotine that could shear a man in two. The clan descends, a wave of desperate courage, armed with spears tipped with fire-hardened wood and sharpened bone. The deadly flowering of their osteoid, ontocratic craft. The battle is a chaotic, bloody scrum. The beast's beak is a blur of motion, shattering a hunter's shield, breaking another's arm. But they are relentless. They swarm it, stabbing at its neck, its chest, its eyes. Kale, his face a mask of mud and rage, vaults onto its back and drives his stone axe deep into the base of its skull, again and again, until the thrashing stops and the great god of the savannah lies still. Silence falls, broken only by the ragged gasps of the survivors. They have won, but when they find what is left of Geo are near the canyon wall, they do not cheer. They have stared into the eye of a god, and pulled it down from its heaven. The sky is theirs now, but the price is etched into their souls. They stand in the shadow of the dead god. These scarred human ancestors, and the world is irrevocably changed. This act was more than a hunt. It was a declaration. It was the moment a bite delayed, armed with nothing but a brilliant idea and the sinew of another dead animal, refused to accept the tyranny of the sky. This single, desperate gamble in a forgotten canyon was a whisper of the audacity to come. Here is the genesis of engineering, the birth of projectile weaponry, the first tactical battle plan ever conceived. It is the primal source code for every fortress wall, every archer's volley, every rocket that would one day defy gravity itself. The sky spear was not just a creature of flesh and bone. It was a physical manifestation of an insurmountable obstacle, and they surmounted it. This is the story of human evolution, not as a slow, passive crawl from the ooze, but as a series of violent, defiant leaps of imagination, fueled by grief and courage. How many other gods did our ancestors pull from their heavens? Their stories lost to the wind, their victories paving the bedrock of our ascent. This is not the end of fear, but the beginning of defiance. And the deep earth keeps its own secrets, where even the sun cannot cast a shadow.